Mark, good to chat to you again. I guess the frustration and the way it happened against Wimbledon, how do you look back on that game now we are a few days on and the dust has settled?
Well, I don't look at it on in terms of frustration. I think you always have to factor the opposition. If they're having a good day, they will make it more difficult for you to win games. But for the most part, they had a good period after the half-time break. Obviously got their noses in front, and then we had to show character and determination to get back into the game. Key is always to keep going. It's that old adage that you're a good team, you never get beat. Just sometimes you've run out of time. Thankfully, we didn't run out of time, so we kept going right to the end, and only takes a second to score a goal. So that's the mentality that we need to have, and that held us in good stead at the weekend because we were able to get something out of the game.
Albeit before your time, people draw comparisons to Bradford City sides over the last couple of years that they would have gone on to lose that game. What does it say about your group of players that you didn't do that?
Well, it's a good sign. We want that resilience in our play and the determination. You have to obviously have belief that you can still do the right things and still get in good areas and put the ball in correct areas. And if you have that belief as an individual and as a member of a team that's trying to win things, then it can take you a long way. And we certainly showed that belief. We were never beaten. We always felt there was going to be at least one big opportunity, and it was just up to us to make sure we took it when it was created. So from that point of view, I think after the game everybody felt it was as good as a win. I'm not quite sure I'm okay with that thought, but I can understand it. Given the late timing of the goal, it was looking like we were going to drop 3 points, but it didn't happen. So keep on moving onward.
Andy Cook rightfully has received plaudits over the last few weeks, but we saw Scott and Verdane get on the score sheet. Harry's chipped in, Richie, Tyreek, they've all chipped in so far. Are you satisfied with the spread of goals around the team, or is that something you would like to see more of?
I don't mind who scores the goals. Ideally you want a good return from wide players and players maybe from midfield areas, deeper areas than obviously your strikers. Over the course of the season, I'm sure we'll get that. At the moment, obviously Cookie's out there on his own because at the moment everything that he touches goes in the back of the net, it seems. So we're not overly concerned about where the goals are coming from because we've had a spread of goals already, and after 40 odd 50 games by the end of this season, that spread will obviously bring a return of good figures for the guys involved. So there's no concern in terms of where the goals come from. We feel we're always likely to score in games. There's very few games that we haven't looked like scoring. So that's not a concern for us.
We spoke to Harry earlier today and how he's playing a little bit more inside rather than out wide. He said he was almost surprised with how much defensive work that includes as well, playing in that position. How impressed have you been with Harry playing inside there?
Yeah, well, he can play right across those three positions, and he's equally adept at each and every one of them. We've got good options, as everybody knows, and I just think Harry is a very intelligent player. He understands the game. Sometimes some other players will have difficulty taking on board information or recognising what's actually going on while you're involved in the game yourself. Chappie has a real understanding of the game and recognises situations he's been in before and what's helped in terms of resolving those situations. So it's always good to have players on the pitch that are able to recognise situations themselves and do something about it, rather than constantly having me ranting and raving on the sideline telling everybody what to do. Chappie is one of those that really recognises what he needs.
And I guess for you, it must almost be a manager's, a coach's dream to have an abundance of players that are very versatile.
Yeah, it just gives. Obviously, we got more strings to our bow than most teams, and players being able to work effectively in different positions is clearly going to allow me to have different options. In certain games, I may put certain individuals in different positions than they were in the previous game. That obviously will possibly throw the opposition when we go up against them. Maybe surmising that we're going to go one way and we can go 2 or 3 different ways. So yeah, it's a good option to have. A lot of the guys, certainly at the top end of the pitch, can play in a number of different positions. So prior to games or during games, I can mix things up and swap things around and pose different problems for the opposition.
Cian Harrogate hasn't featured for a while now, and some of the comments we get, and I must stress, we take these with a pinch of salt. Some are wondering whether he's happy at the football club. Is there anything you'd like to address on that situation? How is
No,
Cian
not
getting
at all.
on?
Cian's working really hard, training well. He's been unfortunate. He's been involved in most of the match day squads. Hasn't gone on the pitch the last couple of games, but that's the same for a number of the other guys. And probably the sending off just set him back. So that's been unfortunate. But it's very early in the season. What are we? 10 games in. Still a lot of games to come, and he needs to be patient. So young players want to play week in, week out. Sometimes that's not possible or correct, because along the way you've still got to show enough in the opportunities and the games that you're involved in to change managers' minds. But he's working well. It's a case of that. He just has to have that patience that I'm talking about, and he's going to get opportunities. There's no worry from our point of view. It's just a matter of time before he gets on the pitch.
I guess, as you've told us before, it just reiterates that you've bought all these players to the club and you intend to use them at some stage. It's a long season,
nothing changing in that regard. We're well blessed in forward areas, and Cian's a big part of that. So yeah, he'll bide his time, I'm sure.
Going forward into Harrogate, we know about Romney, we know Dion was back in the side, and Liam's injury problems in recent weeks. Do you have any fresh concerns? And on the latter of that, how are Liam and Romney getting on?
Rom's okay. He's been training. Right, still isn't available, hasn't been out on the grass yet. So we're hoping next week he'll be able to get outside and start his recovery in earnest. But a bit frustrating for him and for us. But the only other issue we've got is with Banksy. He's struggling with a calf strain, and it's likely that he will miss out. But apart from that, we're pretty strong.
On Scott there, do you have a time frame at all, or are you still waiting on assessments?
No, he's been scanned. He's not going to be available this weekend, but we don't think it's a big injury. It's probably a grade 1, so they usually, if everything goes to plan, usually resolve themselves between 10 14 days. So if not this weekend or next weekend, then certainly the weekend after.
And Harrogate are not enjoying the best spell of form at the moment. I think you've got to go back to mid-August now for their last league victory, but I guess in a way that sometimes makes opposition more dangerous when they know that they're in that bad run of form and they're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, and managers and coaches are looking at different ways to really affect you as an opponent. So sometimes it's difficult to gauge which way they're going to go. They may change things up, may change personnel, may change formation systems. You're never quite sure when teams are in a run of form that they're trying to break out of. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's more about what we want to do in the game, and if we execute what we want to do to a good level, then we'll make it difficult for Harrogate. But it's still a difficult game for us. Our record there isn't great, home and away against Harrogate. So we want to address that and try and make a big change to the record that we have against them.
It's new ground for a lot of fans who've only been up in the Football League for the last couple of years. Would have you played or I doubt you would have managed there at least, Mark, before Saturday?
No, I don't recall ever playing there, but yeah, there's a number of grounds that I haven't experienced before, but that's where it is. So it's about experience, and life's better when you've got more experiences, so it's another new experience for me. It's not unlike many of the teams and grounds that we face, so it's not going to throw us off track. It's just unfamiliar surroundings, but actually the pitch is green and it's got white lines on it, so we shouldn't be too perturbed about it.
Good luck for it, thank you.
So the game itself, Mark, obviously, as you say, the surroundings are being what they are. It's sort of a ground that's the same. They come up through the non-leagues and what have you. I mean, the last couple of games there, the last few years, have always felt almost like a cup tie, in the sense of the home team almost like playing the underdog card, very much so, about, you know, big boys, Bradford, and presumably, let's say you're going to face that a lot, but this is probably one of those examples where you face it more than most.
Yeah, we do face that, and I'm sure opposition managers and coaches, that's a big part of their preparation for the game. You can imagine it now that managers are banging the drum about they're only a small club and we're up against the big boys or wherever, but we understand that and we face that week in, week out, so we should be used to it now. I don't think it phases it. Maybe in the past, possibly we went out well with that expectation from opposition, and the reaction that Bradford come to town has on players. I think it's fair to say, almost without fail, almost every team that has done okay against us, not necessarily beat us, because not too many teams have. Almost all the other teams who've patted themselves on the back saying they've done well against us, more often than not say is their best performance of the season up to that point. So we get used to teams playing better than they have done in recent times, so we're always ready for it.
I think Simon Weaver last season, after they won last season's game, said it was his best win as a Football League manager, you know, so again it's...
That's my point, yeah.
But I mean, presumably the players, you know, they've got that confidence in themselves to be able to deal with that, because as you say, you've been thrown at that all the time, but you know, it's almost part of almost a little bit of a badge of honour for the players, because, you know, they want to sort of show, we want to show why we're the big club that you'll want to knock off. We're not fazed by that anymore. I think it has been a problem in terms of living up to the expectation that we place on ourselves, and our own fans and fans from other clubs place on us. I think we're much better equipped to deal with that now. We've shown that in just the opening period of the season, so we'll continue to show that belief in what we're doing and the way we play. We feel it's helping us, and that gives us confidence to continue to cause problems for opposition teams, irrespective of how well they want to play or how well they're able to play. We'll go up against them and back ourselves against anybody. Obviously, you talk about the team news. I mean, Tyreek Wright, did he come back okay?
Yeah, he's come back. A little bit disappointed, obviously, with the circumstances and the result that he was involved in. But no, he's back with us. He probably lost a little bit of sleep time in terms of travelling and game time as well. It was quite a hectic period, but we didn't put too much work into him today. Allowed him another day of recovery, so he's fitting well for the weekend.
So he's totally up to speed in terms of the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, obviously, with the game on Tuesday in the Papa John's, obviously playing against Leicester under-21s, as someone who managed one of the under-21 teams, I mean, there's lots of arguments about whether the under-21 team should be in the tournament. I mean, what's your sort of views on that?
I didn't really have any strong views on it, one way or the other. I think it gives the competition a little bit of a different slant, so it's slightly different to what you'd normally face in terms of the experience of the group you're going up against, but I think it just gives you an insight into the level at Premier League clubs, and sometimes you can get good information. You can go up against a young player that you think, well, actually, if that young man becomes available on loan, we might be interested. So it can open up doors to you in terms of your understanding of the amount of quality that these teams have. Clearly, there's a lot of players playing under 21 level that Premier League clubs that could play at our level. So it's important to take note of that, along with obviously trying to beat them as well.
And presumably from on the other side of the coin, it's a bit of an eye opener perhaps for some of these under 21 players. You know, playing against.
Well, a lot of them haven't been out on loan. A lot of them have just played academy football, and it is a big change. That's probably the one failing of the academy system, that these players don't get exposed to competing against grown men. I think I've said to you before that my development as a player came about from playing Lancashire League. League B, going up against seasoned internationals who come back from injuries. I was 14, 15 at the time, and you're going up against grown men, and you soon learn to jump out of the way when they come clattering into you. So for me as a young player trying to find my way, that was a great education. Sometimes the academy players don't get exposed to that soon enough. So obviously this competition addresses that failing really, and like I said, I've got no strong feelings for or against. I think it's different competition, so why not have different things that you have to go up against and deal with.
And presumably looking at the situation, having won the first game, obviously you're saying you take the tournament very seriously. With the result from the other game, the fact that I think Burton have already got 6 points, basically you win on Tuesday and you're through, which is a good incentive to...
Yeah, we want to progress. I don't think the club has been through the group stages of the Papa John's at any point, so that's something that we want to address. And yeah, we want to progress in the competition. Financially, it's good for us, so we want to keep on trying to get to the latter stages. Then it really gets interesting when Wembley appearances come within your grasp. So there's no reason why we wouldn't want to compete in it. We had a bounce skin this week just to make sure everybody's right, and has had good game time leading into the game like we did against Chef Wednesday the last time out, and we felt that really helped the guys. That hadn't had much game time up to that point. So we'll approach it like we did that game.
It's important, as you say, for the players who aren't playing regularly at the moment to sort of feeling part of it. They're playing in a competition and matches that will matter, isn't it? Rather than perhaps the club attitude might have been, it's only a blah 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 game.
Yeah, no, that's not the attitude that we're going into the game with, and we're not displaying that attitude either to the players. So that they've fully tuned into the feeling of myself and the club in terms of what we want to do in this competition.